Film productions have always had the potential of danger and risk. With epic stunts, huge sets, and tons of electrical equipment, it's easy to see why Hollywood filmmaking is a nightmare for health and safety officers. While safety standards have certainly become more rigid as time has gone on to protect the folks working in film, there are still dangers with productions, whether it's a stunt-filled action movie or a hilarious comedy. From beloved kids' movies to iconic 90s comedies, there are some truly surprising culprits with scenes that were actually dangerous to film. So join us as we take a look at dangerous movie scenes that caused severe injuries. Oz, A Dangerous World. The Wizard of Oz, with its bright Technicolor world, is loved by kids and adults alike. But the 1939 classic holds a dark secret of danger, accidents, and poison behind the scenes. The production of the movie has become legendary for its many unfortunate mishaps. Incidences such as the Wicked Witch of the West being accidentally set on fire due to a trapdoor malfunction. But it didn't end there. Actor Jack Haley, who portrayed the Tin Man, got poisoned by his aluminum-heavy makeup. And even Terry, the dog who played Toto, was injured after one of the Winky guards accidentally stepped on her paw and broke it. Even worse, the fake snow used to cover the actors was made out of asbestos, a toxic carcinogen. Night of the Living Dead was a firing production. One of the many things this horror classic had going for it was its realism, with audiences amazed by how believable it looked. A particular scene had a character throwing Molotov cocktails at the Walking Dead, and as it turns out, real Molotov cocktails were actually tossed into the crowd of people playing zombies. Writer John Russo stated it wouldn't be believable to have so many Molotov cocktails thrown and no one catch fire. So he took one for the team and volunteered himself. Wearing no safety padding other than a few layers of regular clothing, he was set alight. While there were people ready with blankets to smother the flames, luckily, Russo walked away injury-free. The 40-year-old virgin's real pain equals real laughs. While no one can doubt the acting chops of Steve Carell, being a method actor is not exactly what he's known for. But for the 40-year-old virgin, he went all the way method for a downright painful experience. The famous chest waxing scene is hilarious, and Carell decided to get his chest waxed for real. Normally this wouldn't be dangerous, but the stakes were unknowingly raised with the hiring of Mickey Mia, who lied to the casting directors about her waxing expertise. The only waxing she had done was once waxing her boyfriend's back. While Carell no doubt anticipated a certain level of pain, what he didn't expect was nearly getting his nipples ripped off, as Mia didn't take the important step of putting Vaseline around that area. The scene was so painful to watch that co-star Romany Malco had to leave while Carell gritted his teeth and followed through with the agonizing waxing. Luckily for the audience, Carell's agony just makes for even more laughs. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Factsverse for more, and stick around for more dangerous film sets. Midnight Cowboy is walking here. You may assume the standard for filming on location in the middle of a city is to close down the street, and for the most part you'd be right. But this wasn't the case for John Schlesinger, director of the Academy Award-winning classic Midnight Cowboy. The film lacked a substantial budget, so to get around it, they simply filmed Jon Voight and Dustin Hoffman walking and talking in the middle of real New York City traffic. As the actors exchanged dialogue, Hoffman was moments away from what could have been a serious accident. A cab driver tried to run through a red light, nearly hitting Hoffman. This led to his genuine response of, "Hey, I'm walking here." The line has become a classic piece of dialogue. Grease, a series of unfortunate events. While the characters of Grease were certainly cool and smooth, the production was filled with unfortunate events. The car racing scene required John Travolta and Danny Stewart to splash through water, which turned out to be stagnant and filled with bacteria. The LA gymnasium where the prom scene dance was filmed didn't have any windows or air conditioning, and doors were closed to control lighting. The location got so hot several members of the cast had to be helped off-set due to heat-related illnesses. While doing a take of Grease Lightning, Jeff Conaway slipped and fell, leading to lifelong back pain and an addiction to opioids. Carrie was intense on-screen and off. While Brian De Palma's Carrie is still as terrifying as ever, the production also had an alarming intensity. Actress Sissy Spacek was so committed to staying in character, she isolated herself from her castmates, slept in her bloody dress, and even insisted upon being buried alive so she could push her own hand out of the grave for the movie's shock ending. but it was the climactic prom scene that proved the most dangerous. With scenes like this, filmmakers have to put in the extra effort to make sure everything is prepared to avoid mishaps. But no matter the prep, bad things can happen. During the shoot, a fireman refused to operate the fire hose because it was too strong, so a stuntman stepped in to do it himself. PJ Soles, who played the bully Norma, experienced the danger firsthand when she was sprayed in the ear with a fire hose. The strength of the spray was so strong she suffered from a ruptured eardrum for 6 months. You can see the painful moment in the final cut as the actress screams in agony. There will be bowling balls thrown at your head. When it comes to method acting, no one takes it as seriously or as far as Daniel Day-Lewis. For his role as Daniel Plainview in Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood, Daniel Day-Lewis got fully into character to play the violent and angry oilman. One of the movie's most iconic moments had Day-Lewis scream in the face of co-star Paul Dano before throwing bowling balls at him. But this scene was actually far more dangerous than people realized. Always committed to authenticity, Daniel Day-Lewis insisted on throwing actual bowling balls, and Dano just barely got out of the way. Safe to say this commitment to realism was certainly worth it, as it's now an iconic moment in film history. Willy Wonka's chocolate river created quite the stench. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory has been loved by countless children and adults since 1971. While such fantastical moments as Willy Wonka's Chocolate River are pure fun fantasy, filming in this candy wonderland wasn't quite so wondrous. Actor Michael Ballner, who played Augustus Gloop, a kid whose greed leads him to fall into the chocolate river. While this does sound like a dream to most kids, it was actually a bit of a nightmare. The water was a 150,000-gallon mixture of water, cream, chocolate, and leftover coffee that was dumped by people on set. The water created a stench that only got worse over time, as the cream spoiled during the course of the shoot. It took Ballner several takes to get what they needed, leaving him soaked in his smelly clothes for the entire day. The filming of the scene was so problematic, it raises the question of whether they were even allowed to film this scene in the way they did with a child. Gunshots were fired on the set of The Exorcist. The Exorcist may nowadays be more famous for its terrifying production than for its horror on screen. To prove this fact, there are people who worked on the film that believe it was cursed. Ellen Burstyn, who played Chris McNeil, still suffers today with a back injury caused from being yanked by a harness during her shoot. Other creepy incidents include the entire set burning down, several cast members dying while the film was in production, and a priest was even brought in to bless the set. Things didn't improve when director William Friedkin decided to use scare tactics to elicit the most authentic reactions on screen. One way he'd do this was by randomly shooting guns on set. This led to Jason Miller, who played Father Karras, getting into an altercation with Friedkin after he fired a gun next to Miller's ear in order to get a surprise reaction. Friedkin never denied the actions and went as far as to dismiss them because he was only firing blanks. Now it's time to hear from you. Which dangerous scene surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to FactsVerse for more. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.